The ballroom of the Grand Aria Hotel glittered with gold light from crystal chandeliers, the soft hum of 100 conversations echoing beneath the soaring ceiling. In a corner near the massive velvet-draped stage, a tiny figure sat cross-legged on a stool, hugging a weather-worn violin to her chest like a shield. She was only 9, her dress a simple pale blue hand-me-down with frayed hems, hair tied back in a crooked ponytail. Her eyes moved from one towering guest to another as tuxedos and silk gowns swept by, oblivious to her presence. At the center of it all stood Marcus Halden, a self-made millionaire known for his ruthless investments and loud laughter. When he spotted the little girl, he smirked at his companions, and that was when the cruel challenge fell from his lips. A jest meant to amuse the crowd, but one that would soon change everything. If you believe in kindness, dignity, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Hidden Hearts. Your support helps these inspiring stories reach more people who need hope. The girl's name was Lily. Her mother had cleaned the hotel for years until illness kept her homebound. Lily came with her on weekends to help, often sitting quietly near the back hallway with her violin while her mother worked. She had no lessons, only an old instructional book and her grandmother's worn instrument, but music had become her escape from hunger and loneliness. That night, because her mother couldn't make it, Lily had been told to wait in the service corridor while a banquet took place. Instead, she wandered in to listen, wide-eyed, drawn by the sound of a grand piano on stage. That was when Marcus noticed her, and in front of his colleagues, he teased her to play. His words carried a laugh, but also a sting. "Play, and I'll adopt you." The guests chuckled, expecting her to run off embarrassed. Lily's hands trembled as she stood clutching the violin. Every instinct told her to hide, but another voice, the one that spoke to her when she practiced alone, urged her to try. Slowly, she climbed the side stairs to the stage, the bright white lights blinding her eyes, her small shoes clicking against polished wood. She could feel every heartbeat as she lifted the violin to her shoulder, bow hovering above the strings. For a moment, the room held its breath. Then she began to play. At first, her bow wavered, but soon the notes swelled like a rising tide. It was not a polished performance. It was raw, aching, and real. She played a lullaby her mother used to hum, weaving in fragments she had taught herself, and as the melody rose, the clatter of silverware stopped, the whispers faded, and the laughter died away. Even Marcus Halden's confident grin faltered. Something in the music, the ache of a child who had known too much hardship, the fragile courage of playing before strangers, pierced the thick armor of wealth and cynicism in the room. Lily's world had always been small, the cramped apartment, the second-hand shoes, the broken dreams, yet in those minutes, she commanded a hall full of powerful people, and for the first time she felt not invisible, but luminous. Tears blurred her vision, but she played on, pouring out every memory, every hope. When she finished, the last note trembling in the air, there was a silence deeper than applause. Then slowly, the entire room stood and clapped. Marcus rose to his feet, eyes shining in a way that startled even him. For years he had built his fortune by taking from others, dismissing those he thought beneath him. Yet this child's music had cracked something open. He walked to the stage, not with a smirk but with humility, and lifted the microphone. In a voice steadier than his heart, he announced a scholarship fund for underprivileged children in music and offered to personally sponsor Lily's education. It was not the jest of adoption he had thrown out carelessly, but something far more meaningful. An open door for her future and many like her. The next months were a whirlwind for Lily. With proper lessons and a new instrument donated by Marcus, her skill blossomed. She performed at community events, then larger concerts. Her story spread online, a little girl from nowhere whose playing had silenced a millionaire. But behind the headlines was a deeper truth. Marcus himself was changing. He began volunteering time, funding programs quietly, seeking out ways to give rather than take. What had started as a moment of humiliation for a child had turned into redemption for an adult. 1 year later, Lily stood on the same stage, this time as the featured performer at a charity gala Marcus had organized. Her mother, now recovering, sat in the front row wiping tears. Marcus sat beside her, no longer the man who mocked but a mentor and friend. When Lily's bow touched the strings, the hall again fell silent. But now it was a silence of reverence, a moment where everyone in the room could feel the possibility of grace and transformation. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Hidden Hearts. These small actions help stories of kindness reach people who need them most, reminding the world that change is possible. Before you go, drop a comment below and tell us, what was the most inspiring act of kindness you've ever witnessed?